Here's something wild. Many women don't under-negotiate because they lack facts, courage, or vocabulary. They under-negotiate because they haven't yet clarified what matters most. When everything feels equally important or everything feels equally hopeless, it's almost impossible to make strong asks. You stall out before you begin. This part of the program helps you focus in. Zoom the lens, choose the terrain you're willing to fight for, and walk away from what's simply meh. The result? You become a more confident, grounded, and generous negotiator. Because when you know what you care about, you stop wasting energy protecting what you don't. Step 1. Identify what is truly negotiable and meaningful. The mantra from part 1 still stands: everything is negotiable. But that doesn't mean everything is worth negotiating. Clarity creates confidence. That starts by naming what would make your daily experience radically better. Not just nice to have. Not what others want. What you crave. Here's a short menu to jog your imagination: time, flexible hours, compressed schedules, early finishes, time off in lieu. Visibility, lead roles, project authorship, awards, speaking slots, internal promotions. Autonomy, remote days, fewer check-ins, more control over process. Support, admin help, clearer expectations, coaching, better systems. Respect, better communication protocols, boundaries around availability, no interruption meetings. Recognition, fair credit for team efforts, public acknowledgement, salary commensurate with output. Ask yourself, which of these would genuinely reduce your stress, increase your energy, or create space for your genius? Step 2. Understand the hidden cost of not asking. Kartike and Claire Shipman remind us that confidence isn't just boldness, it's selective bravery in service of your values. When you don't ask, you're not just keeping the peace. You may be subsidizing a colleague's convenience with your time, trading your visibility for someone else's advancement, living in a chronic low-grade state of overwork, under-recovery, and simmering resentment. Eve Rodsky's research in Fair Play calls this the cost of default mode. You absorb everything because no one else notices the need. Negotiation is a decision to step out of default mode and redistribute the load. At work, at home, in life. Step 3. Build your hierarchy of wants. Barbara Stanny urges women to separate needs, wants, and nice-to-haves. That's especially vital if you've experienced long-term under-earning, because low expectations can blur your radar. Try this exercise concerning types of wants and typical examples, such as non-negotiables, which could be safety, health, family care, and basic dignity. Primary wants that include but aren't limited to a salary increase, reduced client load, or being project-led. Secondary wants might be a new chair, course budget, or title bump. Nice-to-haves are often about personal luxuries. Think conference travel, a window seat, Fridays off. This hierarchy can guide your strategy. Lead with the big ask. Trade with the smaller ones. Drop the low-priority perks if it helps close the deal. Step 4. Think beyond money. Linda Babcock's studies found that women who only focused on salary often missed broader opportunities because they didn't realize those were on the table. So let's say it clearly, it's not just about the money. Your role, your reach, your working rhythm, all of it is fair game. If your company can't offer more cash, maybe they can offer 4-day weeks, a budget for training or certification, a guaranteed leadership pathway, relief from a task that eats your time and soul. Step 5. Ask like a strategist, not a supplicant. Here's where Rachel Jane Groover's feminine presence work becomes powerful. You can be soft on the outside, fierce on the inside. Negotiating your priorities isn't about justifying your needs. It's about aligning mutual benefit. Instead of, would it be okay if I left a bit early on Fridays? Try to deliver at the level I'm aiming for. I'd like to shift to a 4.5-day week, full intensity Monday to Thursday, lighter admin on Fridays. It will improve both focus and delivery timelines. One sounds like a request for permission. The other sounds like leadership. That's not manipulation. That's framing. And every great negotiator frames their ask in a way that makes the outcome easier to say yes to. Step 6. Watch for inherited blind spots. If you're neurodivergent or grew up in a household where requests were punished, negotiation can feel unnatural, even risky. But research shows that when women get specific about what they want, they are not penalized for asking. In fact, precision often protects against backlash. What triggers resistance is ambiguity plus assertiveness. E.g., I want things to be better around here. Clarity anchors the ask in reality. So go ahead, name the thing. Say what would make a difference. Use language that opens a constructive discussion rather than a defensive reaction. Reflective journaling, focus creates freedom. 1. What aspects of your job or home life do you silently tolerate but secretly resent? 2. If you could wave a wand and improve 3 things about your daily experience, what would change? 3. Which of those 3 things would cost the least in time, money, or effort for someone else to help improve? 4. What language feels most natural for you to use when framing a negotiation as mutually beneficial? Main takeaway. Negotiation is not about winning arguments, it's about aligning outcomes with your priorities. The clearer you are about what matters most, the easier it becomes to ask with courage, trade with confidence, and walk away with your dignity intact.